Hello everyone, this is Tip Top Gaming here today with some Oko's Madness Festival gameplay. So I did a breakdown of that. There will be a card right here where I talk about how the event works, so I'm not going to cover that in this video. I'm just going to talk about my gameplay and my thoughts on the event. So we start off this first event very strong with Kenrith, which, unlike the Momir event where you have to pay X and you can only do one thing per turn, so basically you always drain yourself out of mana, once you get past like turn 3, you're only using 1 mana per turn, and that's because obviously you're drawing 1 land per turn. So Kenrith allows me to use that extra mana, and with the red, I can give things trample and haste, with the white, I can heal myself, and with the green, I can put counters on things. So overall, that is an amazing thing to start with. Now he, however, has flyers. Now I got a flyer there, but flyers are really big. Now I thought I started off really strong in this, but then he gets flyers and card draw, and he gets that fanatical firebrand, which I don't account for here in a sec. But then I get this 8/8, which I told you, anything that has counters or first strike or flying is going to be very good. Now I boost him up to a 4/4, but then I forget that fanatical firebrand can do that. Well, Gisthaw isn't that, or whatever his name is, isn't that great in a full land deck. So it's fine that he died. I got to kill 2 of his creatures. Now, of course, he gets another flyer, and he gets an amass card, which amass is amazing because it's a 3/3 plus the counters on top of it, plus whatever amassed. And so I keep pulling these dud cards, like the flash card. Trying to think of that word. But yeah, he forgets that I can put counters on things and basically lets me kill 2 of his creatures. I'm down to 5 life, but what you'll notice here is that I first off get a 3/3 with reach, which is important here, and I go in and I swing out. So I actually let my creature die and get him down to 4 life. Now his whole goal here is that he's going to kill me with these creatures, and that's very important because that thing he just pulled allows him to do stuff with lands. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he could do something with lands. But luckily I'm able to heal myself for 5, which is enough to save me, and then I'm able to basically give everything trample and swing. So then I continue on to the next round. So I really love the fact that we're elks in this, but I think I like this event more than Momir in some ways. However, it feels like turns drag on because it takes forever. Now, I do pull this awesome card, which gets +1/+1 for each land on the battlefield and in my graveyard, and since I'm discarding like 3 lands per turn, that thing is just getting bigger and bigger. Plus, it has reach, so I can kill flyers, and it has trample, so they can't just keep chump blocking with 3/3s. It is honestly amazing. But I end up killing him because he just doesn't block. The thing that I don't like about it is that sometimes it can really suck. Now here I end up with so many planes. Now that's a board wipe, and it does 3 damage to each other target, and since everything is a 3/3, that pretty much would have board wiped if I would have gotten it at any other time. And so if I were to name this, game, I would name this the game of lost cards. So here I pretty much, oh, that's another board wipe, but unfortunately the way it's summoned doesn't do anything. And hey, that's a kill spell, but it's just not enough to do anything. Now, the 3/3 at least has Death Touch, which is fine, but he actually has some Vampire Triple going on here. Like, he is getting the synergy. I am getting board wipes that don't work. And it's honestly, at this point, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so dumb. So what do? I do it, and I get another board wipe. Oh, and I get that, and that's another pretty much useless card. I mean, it's better than a generic 3/3, but it doesn't have any abilities that actually do stuff. And of course, he's, like, getting these things that, like, boost stuff, and he has flyers, and Death Touch, and so then I do it again, and, well, I make both of us discard a card. Great. So this game is not going well so far. Now, this is not edited together. Like, I didn't pick games to showcase what the deck does, because it's not a deck, and instead, oh, by the way, that's another board wipe. It's not a deck, it's just, I'm showing you how I did in the event. I finally get a flyer to be able to deal with his 3/3, and at this point, it looks like I might win because I'm always going to have 1 more creature than him. Or not always, but like during my turn, I'll have 1 more creature than him generally. But he gets this thing, which lets him add each upkeep, draw a card, and lose life. Now, at first I'm like, well, this is his death, which I'm like, yay, but then he gets the stupid 3/3 of lifelink, and that, like, it prolongs the game so long, because he would die here very soon, but I know I have to attack, so I attack with Palaka Worm. He uses that opportunity to gain 3 life, but I get to draw a card. I get to create something, I get a 3/3 flyer. Coolio, that's it so far. So then he is like, he has all these things. He has flyers, and oh my gosh, it's so stressful. And he gets the 6/6. I use my Death Toucher. He's, you know, he's out drawing me. Like, he's drawing 3 cards for every 1 card I draw. So, yeah. And then he gets End Raise Forerunners and wins the game. So, that's an example of him getting extremely lucky and me getting screwed. Generally, this is just a game of luck. I mean, there is some skill to it. I do make a couple mistakes here and there, but I actually was excited to play this event, and I still am, but sometimes it just kind of sucks when they have like a 7/7 trample, you know, thing that keeps getting bigger, and there's nothing much I can do about it. I think that as the card pool gets bigger, I think it will start to be more and more fun. I think that it's interesting to be able to create lots and lots and lots of creatures. I actually think my favorite version of the event, however, I do concede, by the way, is the one where there were planeswalkers, because it added a little bit more diverse gameplay by allowing you to basically make a decision. Like, do I spend my mana on a creature, or do I play this planeswalker that again gives me more interaction? You'll notice here I do get really lucky. I get to draw 2 cards, which pretty much just like gives me 2 extra creatures, which is amazing. And he has decent cards. Now I get this card that's like, whenever you cast something, do something. And then I get another thing that's like, whenever you cast something, do something. So both of those are pretty much just 3/3s, and that kind of sucks. So at this point, I'm starting to like get a little bit more bored. Like, the first game I played, I was hyped, because I kind of was with Artisan too. I love new formats, and it's really fun. I thought I would keep coming back and playing it, but honestly, I think I'm just done with it for now. Now, you're about to see something where if you can get synergy, you win. So, that thing gives dinosaurs +1/+1. That creature says whenever he takes damage, put a counter on everything. Therefore, all it took was for me to block one of his 3/3s, and now all of my creatures were better than all of his creatures. So, that's why he conceded. But since this is casual and the fact that losses don't mean anything, honestly, if your opponent has a very good start, I recommend just conceding. I think I did that once, but in general, I didn't do that. Now, at this point, I have more creatures than him, and, you know, it's all good. I swing, he creates creatures, he gets a Grun, which is kind of obnoxious, but, you know, he gets basically just creatures, and it's pretty repetitive gameplay, and honestly, I thought I was going to like this more than Artisan. I don't. It's just a game of luck. I like pulling those big creatures and turning the game with 1 card, but I also hate when it's like I'm winning and then blah blah, I get this useless card, and it's like, oh, that kind of sucks. Now, here you're about to see something that's really cool. I really like, there's that 3/3 that's second to the right. Whenever it attacks, I put lands into my graveyard. Or whenever it dies, I put all my lands on the battlefield. I'm sorry that you just heard that. You put all your lands on the battle. Why is that happening? Well, you put all your lands on the battlefield, and so I have like all these cool things now. Of course, if I would have waited for the Fleet Swallower, I would have had a lot more on the battlefield. But unfortunately, I have nothing. I pull the 3/3 lifelink, and I'm like, I can barely survive this. But of course, he has Visvictus Admati, which, since my whole deck is lands, it's super duper powerful. Next, we're basically just creating a bunch of creatures. It's super repetitive. I quit just because it just, And that's really how I can summarize the entire event is, it was really exciting at first. I thought the first game was super fun and balanced, and then I just lost my energy and my enthusiasm, and just the game started to get really boring. Like, it's really fun when you pull a really fun card like Villas or that magmatic thing that lets me just keep pinging things every single turn, but in the end, it just ended up being kind of lame. I mean, it felt like it's very uninteractive Magic because you don't get to control everything. It's almost like if you were to, say, go to combat and you flipped a coin for each one and said, I'm going to attack with only the ones that go in heads, and then I'm going to like randomly select a card from my hand and play that. Like, it wouldn't be super fun, and that's what it is. And especially because the card pool isn't that big, it can get very repetitive. Like, me and him pulled the same exact creature. Like, honestly, I feel like in a game that really shouldn't happen. Part of the reason I think Momir might be better, like, I was like, oh, Oko's so much better, but part of the reason I think Momir's might be better is because, well, you get more control over the actual, like, event. Like, at least if I'm strategizing, like, I might skip 6 so I don't hit Bells Unlock. Because, like, what happens if I hit Bells Unlock? And then, you know, I might do an extra one where it's, like, 1 CMC to try and hit Llanowar Elves. Or, like, you know, I think that adds a little bit more diversity to the gameplay. But, honestly, I'm not sure. I think both have their advantages, but something tells me Oko's Madness is not going to be a thing for very long. Now, in this next event, you'll see I am, like, getting swamped here. I have pretty lame things, and then I pull that, and I get the same thing I got last game. I've seen 3 of these in 2 games. That should not be happening, but I'm able to kill his stuff, and it's just, And, like, that's my opponent concedes, and that's kind of what I do. This event was kind of lame. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry that my perspective on this was kind of negative. I was super hyped for this, but in the end, it ended up really disappointing me. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys in the next video.